Hello everybody, my name is Rajesh and we will be talking on C programming language. Hopefully this is our the first lecture and first interaction. So this is not very advanced kind of a course, very primitive course. So let me tell you that we are only going to go with the basics of C programming and not going to get into the depth of this. So let us see what's lying over there. Why this is required? Like we need to be solving various programming problems and the intention is we should be able to perform well in various competitions. That's one objective over here. Hello everybody. We will be dealing with C programming language and this is just the beginning of our discussion. My name is Rajesh. So we are just starting with unit 1, which is just introduction to C programming. At the end of this unit, a student should be able to understand basic programming concepts. He should be able to run a minimal C program at the end of this lecture. We will also see what is the skeleton of a full-fledged C program and we will be studying printf and scanf. That's the kind of agenda about unit 1 that I am talking about. So unit 1 is all basically about basic programming concepts, printf, scanf, minimal C program and full-fledged skeleton of a C program. But this unit 1 will have quite a few lectures. So let's start and begin with our first lecture today in unit 1. This lecture 1 is only about data and data type. See, there are many programming languages, C, C++, Python, Java, so many. But something is common among all the programming language. And those commonalities everybody should be aware of. You get into learning any programming language, but some basic terms have to be very nicely understood. So this entire lecture is about understanding the basic terms. And what is the first term that we are going to talk about? Data and data type. You go for C, C++, Java, Python. Data is there. Data type is also there. Of course, there are some languages which do not support data type, but C language, C++, Java definitely supports data types. So let us first talk about data and data type. Let me mind you that most of the terms are from English dictionary only. We need not mug it up as a definition, but try to understand its relevance in the technology. So what is data and what is data type? Let's begin with a story. I'm going to read the story for you. One boy, namely Vinayak, went for shopping with his father Shiva. He purchased coconuts worth rupees 200 and then that way the story goes on and on. It's like a friend telling you a story or a newsreader telling a story or reading from newspaper or listening from somebody. Everywhere, whatever we get hold of, that's called as an information. So any details we find, it can be a friend telling, news, text or whatever, is called as an information. So what is this story? This is just information. This story is basically just a plain piece of information. Now, if we ask a specific questions in this particular story, the question will be called as a query. The question will be called as a query. And answer to the question is going to be the result of the query. So this term you will be using in databases. Query and the result of the query. In English dictionary we call it a question and we call it an answer. But where does the query apply to? On information. Where does the result of the query come from? You have to find it from the information. So the entire story is information. Now, if I ask you a question, who was the boy who went out? Your answer will be Vinayak. So who was the boy is the query, Vinayak is the answer. What is the name of father of Vinayak is another query, the answer is going to be Shiva. Then they purchased coconuts. What was the cost of coconut? The query is what was the cost of coconut? Answer is 200. Now given a story, the answer and query both will rise from that. Okay, so from this slide we understood two things. What is information, what is query, what is result of the query. Let's go for the second one. Now, there is another thought that I want to put in your head at this moment. The relevant questions we ask from a given information, the relevant questions we ask from the given information, and the information, particular information that we dig out of it, that's called as a data. For example, in this story, 200 was a data, Shiva was a data. What did they purchase? Coconut. The name coconut was a data. Vinayak was also a data. If we go back to that story, you will find that cloth cost 3500 was also some data. 900.50 was also some data. Ganesh, Smriti, Akhil, Srinivas. Ganesh, Smriti, Akhil and Srinivas. Ganesh, Smriti, Akhil and Srinivas. This information together is that particular information is also kind of data. If somebody is going to ask you a question, whom does Vinayak meet in their travel, you can give the answer Ganesh, Smriti, Akhil and Srinivas. This was also a piece of data. So information is more in general, data is what we dig out of it. I repeat, information is something in general, data is what we dig out of it. Now the thought after this, if I ask you to read the story and try to remember the important things from that, and now the story is not there in front of your eyes, and if I am now asking you a question, what was the name of the boy? You are telling Vinayak. Then I ask your name, what was the name of the father? You are telling Shiva. Whom did they meet? You are telling Ganesh, Smriti. Then I am asking, what was the cost of something? Then you will say 200. Now when you are giving these answers, 200, 900.50, Vinayak, Shiva, Ganesh, Smriti, where are these answers coming from? These answers are coming from your head. While you read the story, as a human brain, you recorded all this information. And of course, the place where you recorded Vinayak, you did not record Shiva. You record Shiva somewhere else. Then Ganesh was recorded somewhere else. 200 was recorded somewhere else. This place where you record this information is called as a variable. This place where you record the information is called as a variable. For example, in your brain, you must have recorded coconut cost and the value was 200. Coconut cost and the value was 200. Now, for your understanding, you give some name to that memory. So, as our human brain works, we have a name, we have a memory. I repeat, as a human brain works, we have a name and we have a memory. The combination of name and memory together is called as variable. Combination of name and memory together is called as a variable. Like coconut cost 200. 200 is the value and coconut cost is the name given to the memory. So let me draw something for you for that. So this is the memory. Suppose the memory was given at address 500, value stored was 200 and coconut cost was the name of that variable. So in what we observe is 200 is the value, location, memory location was 500, the name associated with the memory was coconut cost. This same thing that we do in our brain is what the computer is also going to do. So before you deal with any data, you need to have a name, and you need to have a memory. The moment memory is given, you can store something in the memory that is called value, and the address of the memory is nothing but the location. Address of the memory is nothing but the location. So looking at this example, what is the name of the variable? Coconut cost. What is the value stored in the variable? 200. What is that location corresponding to coconut cost? Address is 500. So all this stuff is the concept of variable. Now let me give you one more thought in this direction. Who gives the memory and where is the memory given? Computer will give the memory wherever it is available. So what is not certain is this 500. It can be given at 700 also, 1700 also, wherever it is available. But computer will definitely give you this memory that will be given in the primary memory area of the computer. Now, who will decide the name of the variable? Programmer is free to decide the name. I could have said coconut cost, I could have said cost 1, I could have said cocoa also. It's up to me as to what value we give to this variable. 200 I could have stored, 300 I could have stored. Maybe tomorrow if the coconut cost is increasing, I may make it 1300 also. So, programmer gives the name of the variable, computer gives the memory, then programmer has to write down some code so that some value can be stored in that. Now, there is a strange question I want to ask you. Why is it called variable? I always explain it's something like it is able to vary. It is able to vary, that's why it is called as a variable. Now it is holding the value 200. Now it is holding the value 200. But in my code, if I say coconut cost equal to 300 and semicolon, coconut cost equal to 300 and semicolon, it will become 300. So when my program is running, during the life of the program, the value may change. That's why it is called as a variable. So just to repeat or summarize so far what we have said is, any details that are available is information. The information which is your relevant information that you remove, that is called as data. The name that you give to the data is the variable. Corresponding to the variable, computer gives you the memory. Corresponding to the variable, computer gives the memory. Location where the memory is given is not sure. The value of the variable is what you actually store in the memory. That programmer can change throughout the life of the program. Who decides the name of the variable? Programmer decides the name of the variable. I hope so far this is quite clear to you. Let's go next. So just now so far we have seen what is information, what is data, and what is a variable. Name of the variable programmer will be choosing. Location will be given by the computer. Value also programmer will provide later. Now let us have a thought on the story once again. Is there not some difference when you give the answer Ganesh is the name of a man? When you give something like 200, it is a number. When I say 900.5, it is also a number but slightly different. I repeat, Ganesh is a different category. 900.50 is a different category. 200 is a different category. But we understand Vinayaka, Shiva, Ganesh, Smriti, they are of same category. There is something same in them. 200, 300, 1300, something similar. But 900.5, 90.60, there is something similar. What I want to point out is that there are numbers which can be added, multiplied, subtracted. But you cannot say Ganesh plus Smriti. That will be nonsense. That will be nonsense. Or you can't also say probably how beautiful 200 is or how intelligent 90.50 is. But you can say Ganesha is intelligent, Smriti is looking good. These are the characteristics which will be applicable to that. Or you can even say what is a common character between Ganesha and Shiva. What is that? Ganesha and Shiva. SH is a common character among them. So characters, whether they are matching or not, there is something common or not, or pattern matching happens on some values. Pattern matching happens on some values, they are called characters. Numbers, of course, all arithmetic, 200, 300, all they are called integers. When the numbers need a precision, decimal point, 90.5, 6.0, something like that, they are called as float. So I have told you so far, integer, character and float. What is character? Pattern matching. What can be a character? Ganesha, Shiva, Smriti, all these will be characters. What are integers? 200, 300, 600 will be integers. And what are floats? 90.5, 6.9, these will be float. Now somebody may ask a question, why the demarcation between float and integer? Let me give you an answer. Can you have 7.5 number of students in a classroom? No. Either there will be 7 students or 8 students. You cannot have 7.5 students in a classroom. Can you go to a shop, ice cream shop, and ask them to give you 2.5 number of ice creams? No, you cannot. They will say either buy 2 or you buy 3. Or, but definitely the cost of the ice cream, if it is 60.50 rupees, 60 rupees 50 paisa, that owner may not take 60 rupees from you, and he cannot even take 61 rupees from you because it is precisely 60.50 rupees. So I hope you understood what is the point I want to make. Whenever there is a pattern matching, they are called characters, and whenever there is a wholesome number, they are called integers, and whenever there is a precision required, you call it float. Now why are they making so much of differences between them is that integers need to be treated like integers, characters need to be treated like characters, and float need to be treated like float. So they provided the concept what is called as a data type. They provided a concept called as a data type. So what is a data type? Data type is basically a combination of how much memory is required, the amount of storage required, and how is the behavior of the memory. If you say you took Ganesha and stored it as a character, computer will not allow you to add Ganesha and Shiva. But had you taken two variables a and b as integers, a plus b will be allowed. A plus b will be allowed. But had you taken characters, then characters C1 and C2 cannot be added, C1 plus C2, something like that. So that's the difference. That is what we mean by behavior. Behavior of a data type indicates what you can do with it. Behavior of a data type indicates what you can do with it. So behavior of a data type indicates what you can do with it. So let me say, if I say int a comma b, name of the variable is a and b, and the data type is int. Now later on in the program, if I say a plus b, it is perfectly valid. Later on in the program, if I say a plus b, it is perfectly valid. So having declared a variable with a specific data type becomes a restriction for a programmer as to in the future how can he use it. So if it is an integer, plus, minus, star, slash, so many different operations are possible. If you try to do some nonsense with that, computer will give you an error. So data type is also good enough to point out the errors which you might do it on purpose or by mistake. Now there is one more thought on this. For storing a character, only 1 byte is sufficient. For a character, 1 byte of storage is sufficient. For an integer, 2 bytes of storage is required. For a float, 4 bytes of storage is required. Now, suppose you want to store the value of pi. You can store it at 3.14, or you can give a big, more precise value of pi. To store that, float will be insufficient. So we need a data type which gives more amount of memory. So what you will require is a double. So there is one more data type: character, integer, float, and double. So I have told you 4 different data types: character, integer, float, and double. What is the difference? Character is 1 byte, integer is 2 byte, float is 3 bytes, float is 4 bytes, and double is 8 bytes. So that much of an information can be stored. So fat and fat, it goes on fatter and fatter, we can say. The data types require more and more amount of memory. Arithmetic is possible with integer, float, and double. With character, you don't do arithmetic, you do normally pattern matching. Now there is one more thought. If I am adding integers, say 2 is a value and 3.6 is a value. When I do 2 plus 3.6, we know answer is 5.6. 2 plus 3.6, answer is 5.6. But if I happen to store this 5.6 in an integer, it might be stored as 5 only, and this 6 part will be ignored. But if I store it as a float, entire 5.6 can be stored as it is. Now this example must be telling you very precisely why integer and float, two different data types, are required. There will be some precision lost if you are working with integer. But of course we know many examples where precision is not needed. If you are going to the market and buying mangoes, how many mangoes? Precision not needed. How many coconuts? Precision not needed. Because you will not buy 3.5 coconuts, or you will not buy 2.5 mangoes. Either you will go for 2 or 3, 5 or 7 whole numbers. So that is where is the application of integers. If you are talking about salary, for example, what will you need? Will you need integer or float? Definitely you will require float over there if you really want to go into precise functioning of that. So far we have seen data types: character, integer, float and double. Let's go for next on this. So we have talked on this character, float, integer and double. So we have talked on this character, float, integer and double. There are data type modifiers also. Long, short, volatile are also additional words that you can write behind the data types. They modify the behavior of the data type. All the languages, C, C++, Python, Java, Pascal, they all support the data types. There is one language I want to point out for the sake of completion here. Unix shell programming is a language that does not support data type. So if you are happen to write down a Unix shell program, you will never write int, char, float or double. That interpreter will give an error. By the way, Unix shell program has an interpreter, not a compiler. That's altogether a different story. But I want to point out here that there are some languages which do not support data type. For example, Unix shell programming language. And there is a language which supports data type. For example, C, C++, Python, Java, Pascal. They all support data types. Now, this supporting data type means what? You can say int and say k semicolon. You can say int, then say k and say semicolon. For example, if I am allowed to write down something like this, int k semicolon, and the compiler doesn't give me an error, then compiler is supporting integer data type. That doesn't mean compiler just reads and remains silent. Obviously, he will give me a memory, and the memory will be referred as k during the entire run of the program. Later on, he will allow me to say something like k equal to 9 semicolon. All operations are possible. Even if I say k equal to k plus 7, whatever, that also will be allowed. Getting a variable of a data type, allowing its treatment in the future, giving it the memory, not giving the errors, allowing the operators to work on that, all these features together is called as the language is supporting the data type. Okay, fine. Now who provides what? As I already told you, programmer chooses the variable names as per his reading convenience. I can say coconut, I can say coconut cost, I can say person 1, I can say person 2, I can give the name average, I can give the name total, whatever is there. But I would suggest you to use something which is logical. Something which is logical. So what I want to mention over here is, suppose I said something like int a, b, sum, semicolon. The variable names a, b and sum is my creativity. I can choose any sensible name over there or any nonsense name over there. So a, b and c or sum, there is a freedom for the programmer to choose these names. But this int has to be as it is, comma has to be as it is, semicolon has to be as it is. That is a compulsory thing. This overall stuff is called as variable declaration. This particular stuff is called as variable declaration. Now in future, if we do something nonsense which is not as per the rules of integers, then compiler is free to give an error. That is the purpose of a data type. So here we have come to an end. with our first lecture, which basically talks about what is a data, what is a data type. Let me summarize in a very quick and short manner. Information is any details that you get hold of. You can filter out what is not required for your problem. The required information for your problem is called as a data. Data comes in different categories or packages. For example, character is a type of data, with precision numbers is a data, and without precision numbers is a data. So language provides you data type categorically to deal with the data. You can choose the name of the variable. So provide the data type, name of the variable, semicolon is called as variable declaration. There is a binding between you and computer that programmer gives the name, computer gives the memory. A variable declaration always leads to giving the memory. Programmer can logically, sensibly choose the names. So int, char, float, double data types are possible. A, B, C, D, whatever names user chooses is possible. Most of these, all these data types are supported in C, C++, Python, Java, all languages. So far whatever we have discussed is applicable to all these programming languages. C, C++, Java, Python, they are there. All this is true. What we have so far discussed is only information, data, data types and variable declaration. The next parts we'll discuss in the coming lectures. Thanks a lot.